Na-na-na-na, do-da-da. What's going on in the hood? Hey, so Arvin, I think you're right. We probably, like I would watch for maybe like more of a failed move. Like you are a little bit long in the tooth on the market, but you got a week open. You know, watch and see, look for a failed move because like the market has not worked if you short red ever, right? For the most part, so just see, look for that kind of pop and fade. I think you'll be in for a good spot. All right, let's fucking get to work, baby. Good morning, everybody. What is up in the hood? Thayer, good list, by the way. Yeah, I would keep crowd. I would keep crowd definitely. And you know what? The one thing I know is you keep putting on your list, but you don't trade it very often, so you may want to dig into that too. Like if don't put it on the list unless it's like you like I do that all the time. I have stocks that I put on the list and then I never fucking do anything with it because in my head I'm like, oh man, this Qualcomm would be epic or whatever, but then I never do. I think it's a little bit in no man's land. So I think this one maybe a leave alone. Hey, good morning, everybody. What's up? Cool. Today is boot camp day 2. So that's going to be fun. We start up at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hot damn. All right, cool. Let's get to work here, guys. We got things to do. Hugo, what's up, baby? So, guys, we have a flat open in the markets, but the real story of today is the fact that, right, Bitcoin made a huge run in the middle of the day, which it usually does not. But Bitcoin made a huge run. It was kind of drifting lower for a hot second. And then, dude, there was just a ramp. I don't know if there was just an algo or news or who knows, right? But you had a huge ramp. And then into the after hours, you really pushed this thing through. So it's at the post market here. And so now you got to gap up through this range. So now we're at Bitcoin 1,000, let's say call it 1,300, and so now you've got all these Bitcoin stocks ramping up here. I got some swings on the December 20th, 60 calls. They were pretty cheap. They're like 150 yesterday. We'll see what's going on. I took the December 20th to give it a little bit of room. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on these. You can see these things just we're ramping the mother. I find it easier to just trade IBIT than to actually trade BTC for the most part, just because the damn Coinbase commissions are so expensive. But to each his own. You can kind of trade around these things however you want. So you got to break out in Bitcoin. Now you're at 100,000. That was a big psychological level, right? That's the level that everybody's been talking about for the years and years. Everybody that's kind of like a Bitcoin fanboy, right? That's the one spot that they've been kind of talking about. I mean, since the beginning, right? Since the beginning of time is like Bitcoin 100,000. So now what happens after that? That's the big question, right? Is that the new floor or is that the spot where you speed up? Or is that something where you kind of bust through and then come back down? We don't necessarily know. But what we do need to know is that we've broken out and we've had about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-day consolidation. So you have a picture perfect flag pattern. And my guess is just based on technicals and right the sentiment of how things work is that oftentimes when these things happen the chase is on, right? The chase is on. So at some point we'll get a little bit of a snapback probably where you'll shake some things out, and then if that kind of 100,000 to 98,000 zone holds, then we're gonna have ourselves probably a lot more fun, right? Dude, we got a lot of stuff going on now. Okay, so the offshoot of this is what? Well, okay, so if we're in the stock market, right, we need to look at some of the Bitcoin stocks that we can particularly trade. So we've got MSTR over here, and MSTR has been just grinding down at the 20 SMA for days now, right? So you've been grinding down for days, and you're finally kind of perking out of this level. So let me go to a little bit of a cleaner chart here. So you're finally perking out of this level here. Now, look, you've got a huge gap up on this. And so you have an ATR on this that's pretty damn big. You're right, Hugo. It's got the fucking biggest ATR for, we've seen in a while. 12%, right? So you're gapping up about half the ATR. So this leaves you still 30 points of room. So you can, if it opening range breakouts, you can trade that. Or, we can hit the first pullback and we'll see kind of what's going on. My preference is always to try to hit the first pullback if I can get it, because it's just an easier play. What I mean by first pullback is this is your kind of quintessential. If you have a stock that has news out, this is the play, right? If you have a stock that has news out, then this is the play. You get a gap up and you've got news out, and then you pull back into the 9 EMA. I mean, that's just a simple pattern, right? So as it starts to push into the 9 EMA, then you're going to take it and then you rip it back. And you'll see like numerous stocks yesterday kind of do that, right? You get a rip, then you pull back into the 9 EMA, and then it's a little bit of a show and go, right? If you look at NBIS, you get this rip and then a pullback into the 9 EMA, right? And so that's kind of what I think we're probably going to need to look for on MSTR. We've got two things to think about today, right? Two things to think about, I think. Number one is you've got the opportunity to, of course, hit this kind of pullback and do all of this kind of stuff. But we have this big range break here. And so we can kind of just yank this back a little bit. I think it'll set up for a nice move, because you got to remember the move started at 366 yesterday. So now you're at 442. You've come up 80 points. That's a lot of damn points, right? That's a lot of points for today. And so what we want to be doing is making sure we've got a really, really good entry, right? So let this thing pull back a little bit, and it will at some point. And then I think we'll have an opportunity. Watch those EMAs, right? Your 9 EMA, your 20 EMA, and watch for that just slight little bit of pull, and then we're good to go. Coin, dude, we've been slamming this thing for days and days and days. Sometimes this is a swing trader's market. What I mean by that is that the entry probably was yesterday for a swing basis, kind of 315, 312. Now you had a big end of day ramp, and now you're gapping up into the top of the Bollinger Band. So you want to be a little bit careful on your entry. You do have a clean breakout, right? So there's two aspects of this. You do have a clean breakout, but the big hairy Indian butt is that we have also a kind of day 3 of a move. And so there's going to be probably some sellers into this at the open, just from the fact that this was 295, 297 just a couple days ago, right? 295, 297 a couple days ago. We're going to have a little bit of profit taking as we go through this. Now, if this thing back and fills here, say you get a $5, $6, $7 pop down, is probably going to get bought up, right? Because you have a big range break. The other thing is, if you look at the longer term chart of coin, every single one of these like kind of IPO stocks from a couple days ago, right? From a couple years ago, I should say, they are all breaking out. Every IPO you can think of that's come out in the last couple years is breaking out. So, right, Reddit broke out its IPO. Even some things like RKLB, right, from 2021, breaking out. So you've got yourself like all of these kind of stocks. They're breaking out one after another, any former IPO, and there's been like literally, I mean, half of the ones that you trade are all going to be, recent IPOs, Kava, right? These are all IPO stocks that have been on a huge run this year. So I think probably as long as Bitcoin can hold that 100,000, Coinbase should over time start to attack into, 360s, that previous high, and then right 426 is the IPO high. That would be, pretty sick. So on a day trade basis, probably we'll see some profit takers maybe at the open. And then as it dips down, we'll look and see if we can snag a little bit. Beyond that, let's take a look at some of these other bad boys. We've got the Hut Nation. So the Hut Nation, man, this pulled right back into the bone zone a couple days ago. And then right now you're starting to take out this range here. So you've got also another one that's a flag pattern. And if you look here, you're clearing out tons of levels. So this is a weekly chart, right? So this weekly chart, if you look here, right, this was a big release point right here, around 24, 25. And you have a multi-year base on this. And so now you're starting to push through and kind of test into these levels. But if you see, this thing used to be, $80. Now, does it get back to $80? Probably not. But you've got yourself a huge little mamma jamma here. I think we've got to come in hot on this one too. If it dips down at the open, let's see where it settles, and then we go. Ideally, a 9 EMA, 20 EMA type of pull will really do it. I mean, will really do it some. It'll really do it some justice. Good. So add this one to the watch list. What are some other ones that look good? Riot, right? Riot's also clearing out some spots. Riot's also clearing out some spots. Now, what's the big hairy butt of Riot is that the chart is more messy than the other ones, right? So on something like this, you just don't have the wind at your back on this thing. Yeah, you don't got the wind at your back on this thing. So I think, man, I think that we got Hut's a little bit cleaner. Let's stick with Hut. Mara's been having a lot of problems too because it's got a little bit of dilution life. This is one of those ones like probably if the trend starts to set, then we can hop on. But if you notice, see these solid candles here? This is a reversal. This was a reversal, right? This was a reversal. So you got wicks on these candles all over the place. And when you got wicks on these candles, like you're going to have all sorts of trouble on this. So I like Coin. I like Hut a little bit better. I think they're a little bit cleaner. Look at this, Cores. Now, Cores has got a level here right at, so this is another Bitcoin miner, right about 1840. And so watch and see. It's only up about 2% so far. So watch and see how this one reacts around this level. You may get some steam on this one. I will say the one thing with Cores is that it just trades the worst out of the group, right? It trades the worst out of the group on an intraday basis. Now you got Wolf. Look at this. So this is the Wolf Nation. This is a base that goes back years. So you finally started to clear through. And now you came back and you've retested this level a few times. You're just marinating at this support spot, right, for a handful of weeks and finally starting to thrust out of it. And so you can see you got kind of a nice little rounding bottom here that's got a chance here to make the attack. And, at one point, this thing was moving pretty damn good. So I want to add this one to the watch list too. And then there's some, offshoots, all right? You got BTBT, not as good of a trader, right? Cypher is a shitty trader too, but it's got a hot chart. What I mean by shitty traders, it often doesn't have the proper range, and you can see it gets rugged a lot. You got big reversal candles and all of this kind of stuff. It's a little bit of a spiky McGee. It's got a look to it, but it just doesn't move as clean as the other ones. What's in the other? Iron, right? Iron's got probably a chance. Look at this thing. This 15 spot is huge. So if you go back, right, you go back here, you got about 15 and some change. You got a spot there. Dude, I'm a somewhat of a believer. I'd like for it would have been nice if it was tightened up a little bit. But I think if this pulls at the open, we could take a little shot at this bad boy too. It's got a decent look. You just want to make sure that you're in for the right spot. Good. What else? Yeah, Wolf is okay. Hive is okay. I think BTDR, it trades really well. It's already up 11%. This is a huge IPO breakout, by the way. So we got to be mindful of that. It is a little bit extending. You got candle completely outside the upper Bollinger Band now. So I think this one probably needs to pull back a little bit today before you can take it. It's the best chart out of the group because it's the one that's at all-time highs, and it's a recent IPO. So you got two things coupling together. That's usually a pretty bullish thing. Now, on an intraday basis, look, it's up 11%. It's going to need to pull back a little bit. The move just started a couple days ago at 13, so you're getting a little bit long in the tooth. So all of these are on watch. But I think the favorites are going to be Coin, but it needs a pull at the open. The Hut Nation sensation. Whew, loving the Hut Nation. Good. Those are my two favorite. And then MSTR is, of course, just a daily trader. We always have this on the watch list. It's got the most ATR. So if you look at this purple line here, it's got a $57 ATR every day. It moves on average 12.91%. So you can really get some juice on this. And it's got some 2X ETFs. So you got MSTU here. This is a 2X ETF for MSTR. It's $196, a little bit cheaper. It's still pretty liquid. And so this is going to move. This moves 25% per day. It's 25% range. Like that's a good God-fearing Christian range right there. So I want to keep a little action on this one too. And dude, let's see what we can do. The play on these though is they gotta either pull or do an opening range breakout. Opening range breakout is just right a minimum 3 sideways candles minimum, and then a takeout of the range. So you gap up at the open, you get 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candles sideways, you take out the range, and now you're in. That's your setup, right? So you need either the first pullback or an opening range, and then you're going to be good. Anything else, you're kind of stuck in the middle and you're a little bit penis in between us. Does that make sense? Good. All right. Now, let's get into some other stocks beyond the crypto names because there's all sorts of other things going. Hold on one second. I got to fluff my coffee. Hell yeah. All right, let's get to work. Next thing I want to do, let's take a look at some of the PR plays, see what's going on. Guys, this has been the market of markets for small caps. I'm not a big believer in small caps because I've just lost too much money over the years. But the big, hairy Indian butt of these things is that this year, in the last 8-9 months, has been probably the best for small caps, random small caps popping through. Every day you're seeing these kind of runners here. So if you're ever going to trade these kind of turds, this is the time to do them, right? And frankly, look, if you have a couple thousand shares and you hit it right, I mean, you're making a lot of fucking money without having to, right, put in too much size. The thing about small caps for me is that it just brings out the worst in you. It brings out your worst it brings out your worst tendencies, right? Because you're never going to just trade it small and, take the big percentage gains. You're usually going to try to put your whole account in it and try to get the whole thing. Now, you don't have to, but that's often what happens. And so that's why the failure rate of small cap traders is so high. You know, we used to do them in our Bulls on Wall Street chat room primarily for years. And it was very effective, but everybody was fucking blowing, half the people are blowing up their accounts. And so then one day I'm like, fuck, man, we got to start trading some Apple or something, or fucking nobody's going to have any fucking money left. You got to do that. What can you do? Yeah, dun 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 dun. These are all crypto stocks. Look at this. Small cap heaven. Yo, what's up with this NNOX here? Anybody see the news on this bad boy? Let's see here. Healthcare stocks are flying. After said it received 510 clearance from the U.S. Food. Man. NNOX could work. This is the type of market where this type of play works. All right. This is the type of market where this type of play works. Right now, and I wouldn't, this is probably more of a normal company. You got a PR on this with the FDA. You got a base right here. If it can clear out, it can be a shitty trader at times, but not always, right? It can be a shitty trader at times, but not always. That might be, it might be worth a gander. Not epic. I wouldn't call it an epic setup, but probably worth a gander. You got 5 here on earnings, right? 5 here on earnings, up 15%, gapping up through the 200-day moving average. That's a decent spot on it. So you can roll with this one too. Look at this BTCT. These are all Bitcoin stocks. Look at this. Now, this is a blast from the past. What do you got here? Anybody see the PR on QS? Let me see this bad boy. I got a love-hate relationship with this thing. QS. QuantumScape releases next generation solid state battery separator equipment. I don't even know what the fuck that means, but it sounds nice, right? Shit, what the fuck just happened to my thing? Yeah, I'd roll with it. Why not? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, dude, I think I'd roll with it. Let me see here. Calendar watch this news. Bum 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 bum. Cool. Yeah, I'd roll with it. Let's add this one too. This is the season for these kind of stocks, guys. This is the season for this kind of stocks. This stock has a history of making random moves that can go for a while. We've got a history with this stock. Why not? Add it. BTDR, we talked about. Look at this Connell. Beauty. BKKT. You know what? This could be the day for this too. This is backed holdings. I believe when you do like the Webull crypto app, they go through backed. That could work. A little thin in volume though. So look, these are all Bitcoin stocks, guys. They just got a poll at the open, and I think you're good, right? But same thing with Hood and some of these names. Look at this AAL. You got a little PR on AAL. Let's see here. American Airlines shares are trading higher after the company issue Q4 adjusted guidance above estimates. Airlines suck to trade, but this one typically does have a decent enough range where you could mess around with it. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. What do you think? Yeah, you can roll with that. Why not? Fuck it. Mara's a slut. Look at this Soundhound. All these are getting. This is a huge breakout, but look how extended it is going into it. I think that's just probably not up our alley. All right, so now we got a whole host of these random things going. So let's start going in from order of importance here. Tesla got a big flat top breakout here, guys. Big mamma jamma, right? That's a buenos and a noches right there. So if you look here at the hourly chart, right? Let's call this 360 and some change. That's ready to party. And it's probably ready to party right now. Today, maybe tomorrow. My worry on this Tesla, my big worry on this Tesla is that the market itself probably needs a little bit of a rest, right? Now, B of A did maintain a buy on Tesla. Price target raises price target to 400. So it may, it may just take off. But look, the market itself is really long in the tooth here. So it needs a little bit of a rest. So the one thing to make sure that you do with Tesla is like, you can't, if the breakout fails, say it breaks out and then it fails, you gotta just let it go. I always have trouble with that, right? Because it's like you have this beautiful setup and you're like, fuck, if I sell it low, then, I'm not going to be able to do blah, 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 right? But we got to, right? We got to, because if the market gets a little bit ruggy McGee, then this is probably going to pull back, even if it's a good looking breakout. And then what it'll do is it'll kind of undercut everybody will sell out, and then it'll rip it back. So it's better to just, if you see it, get out quickly and then mosey your butts down into something else. All right. So I love the look of this. And frankly, if Tesla goes, right, then we're going to have ourselves a little hootenanny with also DXYZ. Right. DXYZ it's an ETF that basically holds like SpaceX and some other private companies. It trades a little bit thin on volume. It did about 4 million shares yesterday. So it does enough. Let's just say it does do enough, but you do got to be a little bit mindful that, it trades a little thin. So you don't want to get like huge size in this bad boy. Let's make sure like we get just a solid overall look, right? A solid overall look on this bad boy. We got, this is hourly chart. Look at this, $50. We're almost there. I mean, that's a damn good looking setup, right? That's a damn good looking setup. There's no getting around that. The issue is just that it trades thin, all right? But man, so what do you do if it trades thin? If you've got this hot setup, right? And it trades a little bit thin, well, like, what do you do? Well, you got to trade with just less size. That's the easiest thing to do. So, like, for example, if you're normally going to slam 1,000 shares of this, right? You do 400. You do something smaller, 300 to start off. So you just do a little bit of smarter. And then if it starts to build and the liquidity comes in, then you can always add more. But the highest reward is usually at the start of the primary move. So, sometimes I'll anticipate some with like a half a size or a third size. And then when, that primary move starts, now what we're doing is like, we're coming in, right? We're going to come in and slam it like no other. What day is it today? Thursday. Ooh. So let's add this one. Tesla, you got DXYZ. Both of these look like Both of these look like good God fearing Christian setups right here. And they probably are gonna run together, right? So, you got these things just hanging out right here. Just be careful of the rug, guys. Sometimes with Tesla, they turn the algos on like the first candle, and you get this fucking big pop, and then it rugs back down under the breakout spot, and everybody sells it, and it tanks off for 5-6 points, and then it rips back later after it rounds. Tesla does that all the time. So you got to be a little bit nimble and make sure, like, if you're going to trade it, right? If it doesn't hold, then you just get out. It's not a huge deal. But you got a good spot over there. I like that. I mean, I like the overall look of it. Now, beyond that, so let's go in order of reports. We got Tesla, we got DXYZ. All right. We want coin on the first pull. First pull. There's going to be probably some profit takers in this one at the top of the Bollinger Band. You want to hit this on the first pull. MSTR. And this one's a little bit of a harder stock to trade. For those of you guys that are new, I would say probably HUT is easier. It's got a similar type of range, but it's a little bit cheaper. It grinds a little bit more. It doesn't have like, there's just a something to it that makes it a little bit easier to trade. So I would add the HUT Nation. And then look, if BTDR pulls back, that's got really all the heat. Look at the volume accumulation on this one. You got some, good God-fearing Christian setups right there. Now, beyond that, what else? There's a whole host of other stocks, right, that are like not necessarily crypto stock. So I like this AI. It had news out with Microsoft, and essentially kind of it really gave it a nice boost because they've been stuck inside a range for quite some time. So you had this news with Microsoft. It had 26 million shares in volume that particular day. All right. So you're gonna have yourself a little hootenanny on this. Now, so what do you do? All right. So you've got yourself a little bit of a breakout spot. You got yourself a little bit of a breakout spot here. It's gonna be right around probably yesterday's highs, but usually, if this type of stuff kind of congeals, we want to be in even before that, right? We want to be in even before that. So I like this overall look of it. It's got to just chill out just a tad, right? It's got to chill out just a tad. If it starts to build, then let's start looking at it, and then it can start to move really, really fast. So I really like this one. SE. This one is not probably a little bit underloved compared to other stocks because it's not really a tech stock and it's more of an Asian company. But you've got a picture perfect breakout here. All right. So this pop right here was on earnings. And then now you spent, you pull back to support for a couple days. Now you kind of re-ramp this thing. You've got a spot right here at 118. To me, this looks like a swing trade. You can day trade this too. It's got enough ATR. But man, that looks like a swing trade. If you think that the market's going to hold up, this has got some really, really good spots on it where, this thing could rip tits. Like, it could rip tits today, right? So I think probably a 118-ish trigger is probably good. Now, if you're swinging, then it doesn't, the trigger itself doesn't matter, right? Like you can, because you're going to be putting your stop probably a little bit under the 9 EMA and let it build out. So I like that overall look too. We had Marvel. Hey, Mr. Blanton, how are you? Marvel had good earnings out yesterday, little earnings beat. You got a week open on this one. This is a primetime candidate for a red to green trade, right? So if it dips down and then kind of retakes out 118, I think that's a decent trigger on this that we gotta be mindful of. We got Reddit right at a breakout spot. So we got a couple names here that are at these key inflection points that I think could get some steam picked up. Let's add this old Reddit to the thing. I think you might bust a move on this. What do you think? What are you guys watching? Let me see what you guys got here. Oh, yeah, a bunch of people got crowd, snow. You can do that. Crowd, snow. Not my ideals, but I would be wouldn't be opposed to either. And next we got QS. Hey, so yeah, we've been trading this NBIS for a while, but it needs the pull here. I think probably later in the week. I believe SMCI had some news out today. Let me see what's up. It's a little bit stuck inside range. And this is one of those ones, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, I can't tell if it's a long, it's a short. I mean, my guess is the short play is over. Is it a long? I think, it's just one of those one that's a little bit of a tweener. Not everything in trading has to be a long or short. Sometimes stocks are just that. They're stocks, right? And so I think you're going to be, yeah, I think you're all right. Like, yeah, you don't got to do much on this one. It might just be a leave alone. Yeah. Hey, Laura, how you doing? What's up with you? Okay, so S had earnings out. They were not well received. They missed by like one penny. Not really well received. It's a little bit in no man's land, so you'll have to see how this one sets up. I'm not opposed to shorting it. It's not been an easy market to short, so that's kind of also in the back of my head. I think so. I think there's maybe just easier plays. AMD is kind of tight. It's not like a big giant heater because it's still kind of it's in a little bit of a down. I wouldn't say downtrend. It's a little bit of a range. I think there's easier plays out there too. But if the semis go, then this is the only one that's not extended. Da, 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 Hell yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, I think so. Let me. Even Nvidia feels so. Nvidia has rebounded. It's remounted all these MAs. It looks fantastic. A day of rest would really set this thing up. It didn't undercut at the 50-day moving average, which is kind of your ideal setup, anyways. Now, right? You see how you broke under and you kind of ripped it back? That's your classic kind of Fugazi setup. I like the overall look of it. An inside day, because you've had 4 up days in a row. An inside day, so just like a narrow range. It's a narrow range day, right? So like you just kind of have a one rest day on this or even a pullback, man, that really sets this thing up for a little bit of fun. Yeah, VFS looks good too. Yeah, the volume ended up coming in here. I think on the swing trading side, SC, maybe IBIT, if it pulls, are probably your best bets. But like you got to be careful when the market's like extended. You don't want to be really adding a bunch of overnights. The time to add overnighters is here, right? The time to add overnighters is here. The time to sell your overnighters is here. Now, if you're a day trader, it doesn't matter, right? But when you want to always buy close to the base. So, like for example, like you're looking at Hood. Well, your time to really add it is more here, not here, and you want to sell into those spikes. So just like a little bit of a different fugazi. Good. All right, Let's go do what we do, which is the do. My friends, my people. I love you guys. I'll be in the boom boom room the rest of the day.